All right, so welcome to eatdave.com. I'm really excited about this because I'm sitting with Andrew Stanton, like the god of Pixar.
Oh, geez. I've never been called that before.
Can I just call you that?
Sure. All right, for now.
Okay. So we're here to talk about WALL-E and other things. Saw the movie yesterday.
Okay.
And I must say it wasn't what I expected.
Good.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, do you think this is a movie for kids?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
Age what?
To be honest, I never think about who the audience is. We've always just made the films that we want to see ourselves. And we just have an all ages kind of mentality. We're just immature enough that we figured it'll cover the kids.
Well, it's really funny. A couple of months ago, I interviewed Jeff Garlin. He was in the studio with me, and I had asked him, you know, I hear you're in WALL-E. And he was like, yes, but I can't talk about it. Yeah. And so I was like, why? Why can't you tell? He was like, because I did once, and then I got a letter. So what kind of Pixar mafia do you guys have?
Well, it wasn't the mafia. He's a huge fan of the film, and he knows that, you know, we don't want to give everything away too early, you know. I mean, we want you to go to the movie and be surprised. And so you're always playing that balance of how much do you tell versus how much do you let people actually enjoy it when they go.
Well, he's great in it.
He's great.
And he's one of the few speaking parts.
One of the few English speaking parts.
Okay.
Everybody speaks in the movie. There's dialogue throughout the whole thing. It's just not traditional.
Right.
Right.
So I think the film really makes a statement about our culture and where we're headed.
It's not the point of the movie at all. It's just the backdrop, because that's what sci-fi is. Science fiction genres are always about what's possibly the future going to be like. And so that's sort of like saying a Western's got to have a saloon in it. It's got to have somebody, you know, have a duel. So I had to pick something.
Right.
So I sort of reverse engineered it. I knew I wanted it to be this love story about these two robots, and I knew I wanted them to be this sort of lowly trash collecting robot. So I went backwards from that, and I just sort of went, well, why would there be trash everywhere then? And then I went, well, one easy thing I could think of that everybody would get is that you bought too much stuff. And so it sort of went backwards from there, but everything is in there just to support the love story, because that's what it's about. Okay,
so you talk about buying too much stuff. What do you think Costco, Sam's Club, and BJ's Warehouse is going to think about this movie?
I don't know. It's a made-up company. It's by and large.
Okay, that's obviously a big point in the movie. One thing that WALL-E reminded me of a little bit, and this may be a very, very loose association, but kind of made me think of AI.
Oh, really? Well, I mean, it's a robot movie. There's not a ton of other robot movies, so yeah.
Just made me think about that a little bit. And, you know, you talk about the love story between the two robots. You really feel that.
That's what we tried to do. I mean, we go to movies to get engrossed and care. That's why you go to get a story. So my whole goal is I want to care as much as I possibly can.
So I read a great interview in New York Times Magazine recently.
Yeah.
And you talk about how...
Oh, the thing I was in.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And you talk about how the questions that you get asked all the time.
Yes.
One, which I loved... Well, there are a couple on the side that I want to ask you, but one that I loved was, people ask you all the time, what comes first, the voices or the animation?
Right.
And it's the voices.
The voices.
So the script is laid out, you hear the voices. So are you envisioning that in your head as that's going on?
Oh, yeah, you have to. I mean, any writer has to finally come up with something for people to do.
And this one is tricky, though, because so much of it is Eva, WALL-E.
And to be honest, when I wrote the script, I actually wrote it with all the dialogue. I wrote what I wanted those characters to, in my head, be saying, and then we just knew we'd be swapping it out with sound.
And how amazing your brain is, Andrew.
I would not say that, but it'd be nice if my wife said that every once in a while, but and my kids. But usually I'm just the absent-minded father who's not doing something right.
And how do your kids wrap themselves around that? I mean, here you...
My kids are teenagers. I am not cool at all anymore.
But were you cool when Toy Story came out?
Yeah, when they were little... Well, when they were really little, they just thought that's what my job was, because, you know, all these movies take 4 years to make. So for 4 years I did Toy Story, and they just thought that's what my daddy's job is, Toy Story. And then as they got in elementary school, they thought it was kind of cool. Now I'm out of the cool phase.
Okay.
Maybe I'll get back in the cool phase.
You're going to get back in the cool phase. I also read in that same piece that one of the perks to being one of the gods of Pixar, so, you know, you're certainly not hurting for cash at this moment in your career, is that you like to go to concerts and sit in the first 10 rows.
Absolutely.
Okay, so who is your dream concert besides Led Zeppelin?
Well, I know
that's
because
what
I
you
said that the only I was trying to think of who else have I not seen now in my I would love to see Bowie. I don't know if I'll ever tour again, but I've never seen David Bowie.
Oh, I think he's going to. I think he's got it in his blood eventually.
I hope
He'll
so.
do it. So would you ever think of maybe, obviously reading so much about you, you're a big fan of rock music. Mm-hmm. Would you ever think of pulling together some sort of story out of...
If I could find an excuse, I would.
like,
well, I got to work with one of my heroes on this film, which was Peter Gabriel.
yes,
So I was a huge fan, so it was hard to keep it together.
So his song
is on the end of the movie,
in the closing credits,
Yep.
and he's really into animation and that sort of thing. So, so how did that go down? Did you call him and ask him?
No, I lucked out years before, right after Nemo was out. He really liked the movie, and called me and had asked me for some advice because he had some other project he was thinking of doing that might involve animation. So I gave my piddly advice, and in his postscript for the thank you for doing that, he said, if you ever need a song in one of your films, and I held on that like a golden ticket.
Wow.
And, I just waited until the right time to ask for that favor.
So I would think that after all this time, after all these movies, you still have to feel like, Peter Gabriel.
Oh, I swear it. I mean, I've spent too much of my life listening to all my favorite rock stars.
So that's just terrific. And so many great movies that we all see over and over and over and over again. I think that's just the joy of Pixar.
Well, you hope. We try to make, because we loved those early Disney movies that we grew up on that we just saw again and again that seemed timeless. So we're just trying to do the same thing.
So what would be your favorite of the older movies? Because my son is now watching,
Right.
of course, Toy Story, Nemo. But there are some of these older ones that come back up. Like, for example, Dumbo.
Yeah. It's hard to not cry at Dumbo.
Not cry. It's an acid trip. What were you all thinking? What were they thinking back then?
I don't know. Yeah, there's that whole pink elephants moment, isn't there?
Right? So what would be one for you that you saw and you said, I want to do this?
Oh, God. Almost all of them. Bambi was a huge one for me.
Really?
Yeah, I really was just blown away by that. And Lady and the Tramp. I was a big fan of that, too.
Oh, don't you love Lady and the Tramp?
Yeah.
I know, those movies are just such classics.
But, depending on your mood, you change it to another one. That just shows how many good ones there were.
Yeah. And so what's the next project after WALL-E?
For me or
it a
for
secret?
Pixar? Well, Pixar's got a new movie coming out next year called Up.
Okay.
Which is a senior citizen action adventure film. It's very funny.
Hot.
And hot. And then the thing I'm writing on, I can't say yet. But it's going to be 4 years
You're
from now. It's
so
forever.
secretive over there. I'm telling you, it's that Pixar
Why
mafia.
would you want to go to the movie and know everything that's going to happen?
True. I've met, like I said earlier in the interview, I had met Jeff Carlin many times before. He got very scared when I mentioned
Well, honestly, he's such a fan, and he really just wanted to do all the right things. So, I mean, he's fine. He's fine.
Well, this is such a treat. Andrew Stanton, the film is WALL-E. Everybody needs to go see it. It is a fun movie. It's it's a thinking movie.
Well, that's not a bad thing to do when you're at the movies.
Not at all. But I think at the end I was like, some stuff to think about here. So nice to meet you.
Oh, good. It was
Thanks
nice
for
to meet you,
joining
man.
us today, and I hope to
Thank
see you at a
you.
Led Zeppelin concert.
Oh, I really hope I see you there.
Because I'll pay for the first 10 rows. You'll have better
right.
seats than me, though.
Yeah.